So I've got a wonderful case study for you, and this is with Anne LaFollette. And I absolutely love this one. I recorded it a couple of years ago. And Anne started in her late 50s, early 60s as someone who had been let go from a very successful corporate career and had no entrepreneurial experience, no list, no product, no following, no tech experience, just starting from scratch. And she had this interest in art, she had this interest in surface design, and she just started teaching it. And she did an initial launch that was a proof of concept, and then just grew into something amazing, and then grew into something really amazing, and then grew into something crazy amazing. So I absolutely love this case study, and you just fall in love with her every time you watch this. But what I want you to pay attention to is this is how someone who gets sort of kicked in the teeth and gets cast aside by the corporate world after having a successful career and just turns around and is able to completely restart and get that first launch done and get that first live broadcast done and start to build that following so slowly, and then how quickly it can ramp up. And of course, this is not typical. This is not average. It's a truly extraordinary story. You should assume that the average results are absolutely zero. Let's just just go ahead and assume that your results and everyone else's results are absolutely zero. And I'm going to show you this one completely extraordinary story. I've got others, but I'm going to share this one with you right now. I think you're going to love it. Check it out. So I'm here with Anne LaFollette, and Anne has just started about a year ago and has a great story to tell us. So Anne, could you just tell us a little bit about your business and what's happened in the last year?
Sure. First of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here and to share a little bit about my story. I actually had a long corporate career, and I worked at giant companies like the Gap and Old Navy, and I thought I would retire. I was very much of that corporate kind of drone, going to work, working 24/7 for the man. And one day, my boss called me into his office and told me, "We're eliminating your job and go talk to HR." And it came as a complete shock. I thought I was going to retire with the gold watch or whatever people get now when they retire. But you know what? It was a blessing in disguise. And so about a year ago, I started to explore my creative side. I had a huge box of creative supplies, art supplies in the basement. My husband and my wonderful son encouraged me to bring those supplies up from the basement and start to explore. And I found this thing called surface pattern design. And the best way to explain what that is that you can turn your doodles into dollars. And what I mean by that is you can take a little drawing that you have and then turn it into what's called a repeating pattern and put it on wrapping paper or wallpaper or fabric or on the cover of a notebook, the back of your iPhone case, a million products. And so that is now my passion. And I teach that through an online course, which I launched using the product launch formula. And that's what I've really been focused on over the last year is growing my email list, finding my perfect customer, and then selling them my course using the product launch formula.
So one of the fun things about my work is I get to hear about these markets and niches and hobbies that I didn't know existed. So when you first wrote in and said it was surface pattern design, I admit I went to Wikipedia. I was just like, what is this? But you've turned it into a real business. So you just mentioned your list. And tell me about the list that you had when you started out.
So when I started in about April of last year, I had 25 people on my email list. And I have to tell you, Jeff, that 3 of those people were me because I had 3 different email addresses at the time, including my old corporate email address. And then I had at least, 10 family members. So I think I really only had people that I didn't sort of know, maybe 3 to 5 people that I didn't even know. And so I definitely felt like, oh my gosh, I have no list. How am I even going to get started? And I just, right now, I can't even believe I'm going to say this, but I have 10,000 people on my email list. And it's about a year and a half later. And so if I can go from having 25 people on my email list to having, a year and a half later, having 10,000, clearly anyone can do it if you kind of follow a formula and make sure that you are, finding the right people and talking to those people as best you can. And I do that through my weekly blog.
Wow. Well done. It's amazing. And I don't know the size of your market or your niche, but it seems like it's not vast. It's not yoga or something, that's just that, cats or whatever. I mean, that seems like a fairly small market to build a list of 10,000. So congratulations.
Yeah, I think that what it is it's more, the way I like to think about it is that my sort of ideal customer avatar is someone who's sort of in my age cohort, and they were told in school that they had no creative bone in their body and they should just give up on art. And now they're in their 40s or 50s or 60s and they realize, that probably was baloney, and to use a PC term. And I actually really do want to explore my creativity. And so why don't I join Anne's creative community and learn how to turn my doodles into these beautiful designs, or my grandson's doodles into beautiful fabric that I can then turn into a baby blanket. The sky's the limit in terms of what you can do with your creativity. And so I think that while I specifically teach surface design, I think my audience is a little broader than that in terms of people who want to tap into their creativity at this stage in their life.
Mm-hmm. And so what happened? So you came into my world, and then what happened?
So I came into your world, and I am a very good student. And so I watched every single video. I did every single workbook. I wanted to really kind of unlock how I would use your product launch formula in my community. And so my first launch was 3 videos, but I did them as live broadcasts on Facebook. And one of the things that I continue to dive into with my audience is they need a lot of hand-holding. They're not technologically savvy. I was not technologically savvy either. So they need a lot of hand-holding. And so instead of recording a video, I am live on Facebook, and I teach them a little bit of something, kind of a little bit of an introduction to, what even is this thing called surface design. Then I give them a couple of days off. I come back and I do my second live broadcast, which is sort of your, PLF or PLC2. Then a couple more days off when they have a chance to practice. Then I come back and we do some stuff actually on the computer. And then the outcome I want for them is to actually make a really simple repeating design inside Adobe Illustrator before I then talk to them about, if you want to go deeper, I have this incredible course, and I'd love you to buy my course and go deeper with me, where we'll be together for 8 weeks.
And so tell me about your first launch.
So my first launch, I was super, super nervous. I had just finished my course. It was a 6-week course. I know other people who are in my industry who charge about $1,000 for their programs that are around, 8 weeks or 10 weeks long. So I priced it at $497. And I also had a 6-month $97 price point because I thought that would be more potentially accessible for people. And I did the whole formula, and then I had a 4-day open cart, and super interesting. The whole psychology of managing your own emotions during open cart is crazy. Because some people come in early and then there's all this silence and it's like, oh my gosh, is another person gonna buy? Is another person gonna buy? But anyway, my results were really good. I mean, my first launch, I took a couple of numbers just to make sure I could look at them with you. But my 6-week course launch was priced at $497. I got 27 people to buy. And so I made almost $13,000.
Well done. How big was your list at that point? So you had that 25, which really was 22, but it was really only probably 4 or 5 people.
Yeah, exactly. So at the beginning of last year, because I did this launch in January of this year, I did this launch in January, and I think my list was probably around 2,500 people, and I made people opt into an actual sort of freebie so that I would have a subset of people who were really going through this seriously, and there were only 850 people on that list. So wow. I think that my conversion rate was around 8%, if I'm remembering the math correctly, which I was really pleased with. And I definitely feel like it's a lot of the hand holding was a major contributor.
So what I like about you, Ann, is you just like you said, you're a student. I'm going to study this. I'm just going to move forward. I'm not technical. I'm going to figure it out. What was it like doing those live broadcasts? What's it like being on camera? You know, you're like me, you didn't grow up being on video and on camera your entire life. So what was
For sure. I mean, I think that one of the things that you recommend is you have to practice a lot, right? So what I had been doing as I was building my business last year was coming on Facebook once a week. I write a blog and then I talk about it on Facebook. And so, nobody would show up. Nobody would show up, but I would still be talking to the green dot. And I would be getting comfortable with like, okay, how organized do I need to be? Am I looking at notes? Am I not looking at notes? And I basically broke myself in, for lack of a better description, in terms of getting comfortable on camera. And then, then somebody would show up. And the first couple of people who showed up were relatives, which was so sweet of them. And so one of my cousins in Indianapolis comes on still like every week on Wednesday when I'm live on Facebook. She's the sweetest of ever. And but that's how I basically got comfortable on camera. It was like, okay, I just have to do it every single week. And so I had done it probably for about 6 months every week before I did my PLCs.
Nice. And so that first launched approximately $13,000. And then what happened after that? Walk me forward, because this is all just happening. You got
it's all just happening. Yes, it's all very, very much just happening. So I just launched again in May. So I wanted to make sure I gave my community a nice long breather. I didn't want to be sort of inundating them with, with salesy emails. I'm always a little bit nervous about just, how you make that transition from giving a ton of free value, but then also asking for the sale. So I wanted to give them a nice long break, and I decided that May would be a good time frame because then it would lead kind of into the summer. So I got fantastic feedback from the first group of students, right? So I had about 27 students in that first cohort, and they gave me amazing feedback. They said the course is too short. You got to make it 8 weeks because it's just like, it's like drinking from a fire hose. You gotta do some simplification and also make it a little longer. So I did that, and I increased the price to $997, which was a really, really big deal for me because one of my mentors in this space, who I absolutely adore, whose name is Bonnie Christine, she has an 8-week course that she charges $997 for. And so I just felt like I had to respect myself and the work that I put into this course and say, okay, I'm going to be in that same cohort. So I did that in May, and I made $42,000. Jeff, I made $42,000. I got 50 people, which was my goal. I had set a goal that I wanted to basically almost double the number of students, and so I got 50 people in, and I did provide a couple of discounts here and there. I'm sort of learning about when people from Canada or Australia are complaining about the exchange rate. It's like, ooh, I felt bad about it, so I gave them some discounts. But in any event, at the end of the day, I got 50 people, $42,000, and my rate, my conversion was still around 4.5%. It was at a much higher price point. It's about 4.5%, which I was really, really happy with. And so my goal for this year was to hit $100,000, and I am on track to do that because I'm going to have one more launch before the end of the year.
Wow. What does it feel like to basically step out of that corporate world and have no experience, not be super technical? I'm guessing you're probably... in your corporate career, you weren't a salesperson. You don't strike me as like a super slick salesperson. What does it feel like to just all of a sudden be able to create this, and in their first full year in business, you're closing in $100,000?
It's like I am a different person. I am filled with such incredible joy and with such incredible sense of empowerment. And it's been transformative with my whole family. I mean, my husband sees a different me. My son sees a different me. My parents and my family. I mean, I wake up in the morning and I cannot wait to do whatever the next thing is I need to do. First of all, I love teaching. I do come from a family of teachers, and so it's like, why didn't I become a teacher sooner? But I love teaching. I am an introvert, so I love teaching this way, so I'm not surrounded by a bazillion people. They're on the other side of the green dot. And I love my community. My community are just amazing women who are all learning so much, and learning is such an empowering experience. When you put something into your brain, no one can take it away from you. It's yours forever. And everyone's journey is different. So what they want to do once they learn this skill, first of all, they're incredibly talented. And so that is so incredibly inspiring. And they are all doing something different, and there's room for all of us. There's just room for all of us, even though this is a really niche-y space. So it's transformative, and it fills me with joy every single day. I just feel so incredibly blessed that this is my baby now. This is my baby, and no one can take this baby away from me. And I love every minute of it, even when I'm messed up with a Facebook ad, or even if it's like something is not connecting properly on my website. It's like, you know what, I can figure it out. I can figure it out, and if I just slow down and take it, baby steps, and keep learning, I am going to do just fine.
I just love it. I love your approach, your energy. And so one of the things you said when we first started is your husband and your son encouraged you to take those art supplies up, take them from the basement and bring them upstairs and bring them out to the world, is what I heard. So if someone's watching this and they've got that art kit down in the basement, or it could be a guitar kit, or it could be whatever, and they've got some work that they could get out into the world, and they're looking at this possibility. Since it's just been a year for you, what would you say to them? What would you say to them?
So I think that what I would say to them is my particular tagline is, it's never too late to create. And what I would say to them is, baby steps, my friend. Break it down into small steps so that it doesn't feel so overwhelming. And then I would also say you gotta do it so that you're learning. If you are holding yourself back because you're afraid to take those first steps, the first steps are going to help you learn what the next steps are. And I feel like that was what I definitely tapped into perseverance, for sure. Perseverance was a very, very important part of kind of me continuing to move forward. And I would want to have everyone who's listening really embrace that there is work involved, and you have to be willing to do that work. But if you persevere and you have this you embrace the learning journey, it is going to be transformational. And it's never too late to get started. It's never too late to create. If you're in the creative space, it's never too late to do whatever it is that you want to do. But I highly, highly recommend that you start now, because those incremental first baby steps, all of a sudden you're going to look back and say, oh my gosh, 18 months ago, I had 25 people on my list, and now I have 10,000. How did that happen? And it happened because I took baby steps. And I love your expression of, you got to launch and learn. You got to launch and learn. You're going to learn more by doing than by thinking about what you could be doing. You got to take those baby steps.
Mm. Well, as you reflect back to last September, before you joined Product Launch Formula, and where you were and how you felt, even as you were watching my launch and thinking, could this work for me? What did you feel like, or if you could give yourself right now, if you could, knowing what you know now, could give a message to the Ann that was back there thinking about investing in Product Launch Formula at that point, what would you say?
So I would definitely say it's worth like every single penny, and that I'm a step-by-step learner. And so I love the way the program is broken down into very, very organized steps. I feel like if you do them in the right order and don't come with an assumption that there's part of this that you already know, you're going to do great. And mostly it's it's an incredible investment in yourself. And I have always been a huge believer that investing in ourselves is really, really important. And that's how I approached it. I approached it as an investment, and then something that I knew I would probably have to watch multiple times. And that's one of the beauties of an online program, is that you can watch it as often as you need to. And however many times you need to watch it is what's right for you in terms of going into gaining the knowledge that you need and diving deeper. And so I always tell people, listen, it's really important to invest in yourself. And I think it's also really important to then complete the program so that you feel like you're getting the absolute most value. And I would highly encourage people to set a deadline for themselves. So I set a deadline for myself. I said that when I bought your course, I was going to pay myself back when I did my first launch. And I did that in spades. And that made me feel really good because I'm a very deadline-oriented person. And I would recommend that for other people who are also considering purchasing the program.
And thank you so much. It's been great to watch you over the last year, and I can't wait. I know you're just getting started. I can't wait to see what's to come in the coming years.
I can't wait either, and I can't wait to participate in your next launch, Jeff. It's going to be so much fun. I learn something new every single time.